In today's video, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, AAVE, VeChain, Weapon, and Kitty. So we have a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So we're seeing Bitcoin drop below that $45,000 area this week, which if you followed my recent videos, you know that was a potential just because of how Bitcoin has reacted over the past 12 months. So it seems like every time we get this liquidation candle from Bitcoin, the market not only retests that low, but actually drops below it before eventually moving higher. So it's happened 5 times in 2021. December 4th was the 6th time. So now we're just kind of waiting to see, is this market going to do the exact same thing that it's done 5 other times? And so far we are kind of getting a fill of this wick, and we'll see if the market does break below 42, potentially down toward 40,000 or so before putting in a bottom. So this is where I'm looking to. I also have orders placed down in that area. Now, if 40,000 were to fail, so if Bitcoin were to drop below $40,000, then there is an area around 35,000 that should also serve as support. So you can see if we anchor a trend line off of this high back here in the bear market, you can see where back here in December of 2020, this level served as resistance right before the breakout. It also then served as support during that May to July consolidation. Now, there are also 2 Fibonacci levels that extend. One of them extends off of the March 2020 low up to the all-time high. All right, so we're going to draw the Fibonacci retracements from that low down there, and then also from this consolidation back here between May and July up to the same all-time high. And when we do this, you can see where we get this overlap of Fibonacci retracements where the 236 and the 786 both line up right around $35,000, which is also very close to that trend line. So it gives me a lot of reason to believe that 35,000 is a very strong support level, to where if we were to see Bitcoin drop below 40, then 35,000 would be that next area of support that I would be watching. So if we move in, you can also see where, lastly, if I turn the VPVR, you can see where this area is also very strong support. So what this shows is that Bitcoin has spent the most time, okay, as far as volume is concerned, in the $35,000 area. And that's just based on these yellow bars over here. All right, so this yellow area right here tells us that Bitcoin has traded the most volume right in that $35,000 area. And that's obviously significant in the sense that if we were to see Bitcoin revisit 35,000, markets have a way of remembering these areas. So I would expect strong demand down here if we were to see Bitcoin travel that low. Of course, this doesn't mean that Bitcoin is likely to hit 35, but it does mean that if we were to see a drop below 40, 35 would be that next area to watch. All right, so all in all, right now, I'm essentially just watching the $40,000 area. This is going to be the first area of support. So I would expect to see a lot of bids just below 42,000, and obviously 45,000 is now going to be resistance. Now 53 is going to be the level that Bitcoin has to get back above to turn bullish again. So everything below 53 you have to be really careful of, because so far during this downtrend we've had this series of lower highs and lower lows. So we need to see that first higher high above 53 in order for this trend to change. So you can see back here, it was this high, we had lows through here, and then also this recent high. So 53 is going to be kind of the hinge between a bullish and bearish scenario. Above 53, we're looking at 60,000 plus. While we're below 53 though, as I said, you have to be a little bit careful and expect some further losses, potentially, as I said, down toward 40,000 or even as low as $35,000. So next up is Ethereum, which, you know, like Bitcoin, we've obviously had this series of lower highs and lower lows over the past few weeks. And if we look at this on the weekly time frame, you can see where the market recently did break back below $4,000. Okay, so 4,000 was resistance back here, resistance again, it broke above it, 4,000 served as support until last week. Now that was also a monthly close. So the point of this is that Ethereum has to get back above $4,000 to turn bullish again. Until that time, you have to be careful here. So regardless of what happens down here at these support levels, regardless of what kind of rally we get from support, Ethereum has to get back above $4,000 to turn bullish again. All right, now as far as support goes, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on 3,100. So you can see back here, this was support and then resistance. And the next area below that is going to be these lows down here and also these highs just below $3,000, which there's also a trend line. Okay, very similar to Bitcoin, we have a trend line that's anchored off of the high during the bear market that served as support throughout the 2021 rally. Okay, so notice through here, it served as support on several occasions on the weekly time frame. So this area down here just below 3,000 is going to be the must hold for Ethereum. Now, Bitcoin would probably have to retest 35,000 for us to see Ethereum down around $3,000 or below it. So it doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to travel that low, but that would be a key support area I would keep an eye on. But again, 3,100 is going to be the next support, followed by this area right around 2,800, and 3,500 was obviously support back here on this candle. However, it's not really that meaningful just because it was the wick. There were a lot of liquidations during that time. And so I wouldn't be surprised, just like with Bitcoin, to see Ethereum drop down here towards 3,100 or potentially 3,000 before we see any kind of meaningful bounce. That said, remember that Ethereum has to get back above $4,000 on the higher time frames in order to turn bullish again. So AAVE is the next coin I want to talk about today. And I really like the look of the overall chart here. Obviously, we've had a lot of consolidation over the past, almost year, ever since we got the top up here. Now, typically when you get a market that looks like this, where you have a floor down here, in this case at 160, and you get a descending trend line off of the all-time high, this pattern tends to act as a continuation pattern of this move. Okay, so we had the rally back here. We've since had a period of consolidation. So what I'm looking for later in 2022, and this isn't going to be like an immediate setup where in the next week or even few days we're going to get something to do here, but later this year I would expect a potential move to the upside where we get a breakout from this pattern, which is also a terminal pattern, meaning that it has to come to an end at some point, to get a move above this trend line up here for a continuation of what we saw back in this area. So there's no way to understand or know where that's going to happen or when it's going to happen. But the way I would play this is either a break above this trend line for continuation, so currently up around $270, or alternatively, if we get a move down toward 160, that could also be an appealing long entry, because if we do see a continuation of this pattern, I think we're looking at potentially all-time highs, which is all the way up around $600. So buying in at 160 down here, if we do get it again, that could be an attractive entry. But again, it is going to take a close above this trend line up around 270 to really confirm this breakout and send this market higher. So remember, with everything we talk about, it's all based on the highs and lows. So right now we've had this series of lower highs. So in order for this to change, we need to see not only a break above this trend line up here, but to really confirm it, we need to see a move above this high up here right around $300, because that would be the first higher high. And from there, we'd be looking for the first lower low. Okay, so we need to take out this area up here in order for the market to turn constructive again. But right now, with the way things are looking, I do think it's more likely that we see a rotation lower, potentially back toward 160, before we see any type of meaningful bullish price action here later this year. So next up is VET, which I talked about recently, and I mentioned this short-term trend line that comes in, right around 8.3 cents, which is being tested right now. So we saw recently where VET did try to break back above 8.8 cents. You can see where it was support back here and then resistance. So we got the close back above 8.8 cents. However, it was unable to hold that. And I mentioned the other day in the video that this was a sign of weakness. So this false breakup here where it reversed right from 10.3 cents, that was a sign of weakness. And sure enough, yesterday moved above it intraday, but then closed back below it. And this is why I always say that the daily close is so critical. So right now, it's going to be a matter of whether or not today closes below this short-term trend line right around 8.3 cents. So if we look at the 4-hour time frame, you can see where currently, all right, this market is trading below that trend line. So it's going to be a matter of whether or not VET can recover into the daily close. If it can and it closes back above this trend line, then this will continue to serve as support. Now, if it closes below that level, then there's a good chance we see a rotation lower into 7.3 cents, which is that trend line off of the May low. Okay, so you can see how this trend line has served as support here, to where if we were to see a rotation lower from this area, then the next support is going to be right around 7.3 cents. Now below that area, okay, below 7.3 cents, if we were to see a move below that May trend line, then we would be looking at a potential move down here toward the 6 cent area. Now that's going to be key for a couple of reasons. So the first one, if we look at the weekly time frame, you can see we're going all the way back to the bear market. This level, this trend line was key from all the way in August 2018. It served as resistance through the entire bear market. So any retest of this trend line should attract a lot of buying pressure. Furthermore, 6 cents is also a key horizontal level. All right, so it has been the range for the past 12 months for VET. So you don't want to see VET drop below 6 cents. That is going to be a must hold in order for the overall chart to stay bullish. But at the same time, if we were to get a retest of 6 cents, that could also provide an attractive buying opportunity. So, ideally right now, if we do get a move down toward the 7.3 cent area, that could be an attractive buying opportunity. And it all depends on your perspective. If you are dollar cost averaging for a long-term hold, then I see absolutely nothing wrong with looking for a buy when the market is, even at current levels, about 70% off its all-time high. Down here, if we did get a move towards 6 cents, it would be about 77% off its all-time high. So again, if you're dollar cost averaging for a longer term hold, then I see nothing wrong with buying on these dips. All right, now if you're trading this, it's a little bit more uncertain because we don't know if Bitcoin is going to go back and retest 40,000 or even 35,000, in which case we could very well see VET down here either at 7.3 or even down toward the 6 cent area. Now, in order for VET to turn bullish again, it's going to have to get back above 10 cents. All right, so this is going to be the level up here that it has to get back above to turn bullish. And the reason for that is that a move above this area, close above it, would put in the first higher high within this downtrend. So to reverse the downtrend, we need to see higher highs and higher lows. And so far, we're not seeing that. So we need to see a move above 10.3 cents in order for this market to move higher, potentially up toward the 12 cent area and maybe even back toward that trend line around 15 cents. But as of right now, all eyes are going to be on this trend line right here around 8.3 cents, close below that, and we're likely looking at a move down toward 7.3 cents. So the next two tokens I want to talk about are play to earn tokens, and the first one is Weapon. So this is a play to earn token. They're coming out with a battle arena style game later this quarter, and I was initially talking about this back when it was around $1. So back here during this area, this is when I started to buy it. Now I kind of regret not buying it when it dipped below $1 because obviously it's trading, much higher than that today, just below the $3 area. So the all-time high here is going to be right around 350. So that's the all-time high, and support at the moment should come in down here around $1.70. So you can see where the market found resistance in this area in the past. It broke above it yesterday on significant volume. And so any rotation lower, either into 170 from current levels, or if we see a move up toward 350 in a rotation lower, I do expect to see a lot of demand in that 170 area. Now, if we do see this market break above 350, which I think is likely in the next few weeks, then we'd be looking at a move up towards psychological levels like $5 and $10, because there are no obvious resistance levels because the market would be in price discovery at that time. So levels like $5 and $10 are ones I would keep an eye on just because they are, psychological on the way up. So this project has 10 million tokens. So that's the total supply. So right now at current levels, it's trading right around a $26 million market cap, which is still, in my opinion, very low, especially for a token, a project that does have a play to earn game coming out within the next few months. So they also have staking coming out later this month. So between staking and a play to earn game, I do think that this has a ton of potential. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it trading up around $5, $10 within the next few weeks, maybe month or two. And last but not least, we have Kitty, that's Kitty Inu. Now, just to clarify, a lot of people hear the name and they think meme coin. This is not a meme coin. It is a play to earn token. They have a play to earn game coming out. The beta release of the game is actually slated for later this month, maybe early February. So within the next 4 weeks, they do have the beta release of the game coming out. The full game is slated for sometime later this quarter. Okay, so it is a play to earn game, very similar to Mario Kart, think of Mario Kart, but being able to play as your favorite meme characters. So they've partnered up with Pudgy Penguins. They bought a Bored Ape. So you're going to be able to play as these characters in the game, race around a track, and make money doing it. So I think it has a ton of potential. Now, obviously, the chart isn't nearly as attractive as Weapon, especially because, I was buying this back here in late October on these dips, and I thought I had a great entry, and at the time I did. However, since that time, I am down about, 35-40%. So it is a little bit painful. However, I still have, all the confidence in the world in the team, in the game. I think it's going to be a huge hit, and I do think that this dip is temporary. Now, oddly enough, I was actually buying on today's dip. So I bought right here at this support, at this red level. And the reason for that is if you look back here in late 2018, you can see a little bit of a pivot here on the 4-hour time frame. However, what's interesting about this is that this level right here is also a key Fibonacci retracement of the entire range. So since inception, you can see that the 786 Fibonacci retracement also lines up right here with that pivot, which sure enough became today's low. Okay, so far we've seen a nice bounce from that level. The market is still down big here over the past few weeks and months, but so far this area is holding up nicely. So I do expect to see a lot of demand in this area down here. Again, I bought more. It's not financial advice, but I do think that this dip is temporary, especially when you consider that at the low today, the market was trading right around a $23 million market cap, which again, for a game that is coming out later this quarter, beta release within the next 4 weeks, and also on the Ethereum network, there are about 6,000 holders and 1,300 holders on BSC. So it's gained a lot of traction. I don't think this dip is going to last, which is why I decided to buy more today. Now, one last note before I go on play to earn tokens. I hear a lot of people saying, if we do enter a bear market, that play to earn tokens like Weapon and Kitty aren't going to do well just because if Bitcoin goes down, these coins are going to go down. And to some degree, there is some truth to that just because of fear in the market. We've seen a lot of fear enter the market recently, and that has spilled over into some of these micro caps. But at the same time, it's my opinion that play to earn tokens like this, solid projects that are play to earn, are going to do well whether we're in a bear market or a bull market. The reason for that is in a bull market, money is going to flow from Bitcoin to Ethereum to a lot of the smaller caps into micro caps like Weapon and Kitty. And in a bear market, people are going to be bored. They're going to be looking for ways to waste time until the next bull market. And what better way to do that than to play a game where you can make money? That's especially true of the younger generations who are already playing video games. They're going to be in a bear market and looking for ways to make money. Now, I'm not saying that we are in a bear market, but what I'm saying is that regardless of whether we're in a bull market or a bear market, I do think that solid play to earn projects like this are going to do well. That's just my opinion, not financial advice, but I think that, Weapon, Kitty, and other solid projects are going to do really well whether we're in a bull or bear market. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you. And if it did, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also smash that like button to let me know that you are enjoying this content. And don't forget to leave your comment below, and I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.